Welcome to this session on standards and specification. This is part 5 of session 12, and the name of the subject is fashion material and production management for merchandisers. Follow the why would you accept the tile if the vendor does not follow the color standard? Okay. After tile, we're going to look at installation spec. Now, when we are talking about those home furnishings and industrial products which need installation, home furnishing like big drapes and those the shades or the the curtains that we have which has to be installed. So installation spec is mostly related to installation of home furnishings and industrial products, sofa sets which have to be assembled at your home. Now, the type of carpet padding or the hanging of draperies, that has to be done keeping some things in mind. Now, the nap should be the same. Now, I'm sure that you understand what is nap. Nap is the direction of the fabric. Now, imagine there are let's say a velvet curtain, and the velvet curtain is in 4 pieces, let's say. So if you have 2 velvet curtains in one direction and the with the nap in one direction up, let's say, and 2 other curtains with the nap in the lower direction, both of them are going to look 2 different types of curtains, which is going to look ugly. So the hanging of the draperies has to be, the nap has to be kept in mind. Otherwise, the entire purpose would be defeated. One example is incorrect installation of a fan belt in a car, which is installation spec. Fan belt is great quality, but it has not been installed correctly. So installation has to be done in the right manner. How it has to be installed, that has to be mentioned in the installation specification. Then we have the use spec. Now, this is often included in industrial products. Generally relates to safety and health issues. Example, tow ropes come with tow ropes come with instruction for use. Tow ropes are where you use the rope for pulling. Let's say one car is pulling the second car, so the rope that you use is called a tow rope. Now, how to use this tow rope comes with the instruction for use. How to use this? So let's say you are using, let's say you have bought a microwave oven. It will have a use spec. How will be using it? So you will have the instructions. Now, you as the buyer, if you want microwave ovens to be made, you are going to specify, you are going to give the use specification to the vendor that this oven will be used in these manners by my customers. So therefore, keeping that in mind, you have to make the microwave ovens. So another example, airbags in vehicles should not be used with children or frail adults. Now these airbags are so strong that if there are small children or frail adults, in case of accidents, the airbag itself might kill the children or the frail adults. So it has to be specified that when using this product, what should be done or what should not be done. And then maintenance spec, you talk about an automobile, or you talk about a sofa set, or if you talk about any kind of machines which have to be maintained, how will you maintain it? So the method, manner, procedure to be used for maintaining, that has to be specified. All of that goes into the maintenance spec. So maintenance spec relates to the furnishings and industrial products, like you have your sofa sets. Your sofa set has gotten dirty. You cannot wash it, but how will you maintain it? How will you clean it? So the cleaning chemicals are there, and there are equipments with the help of which you can clean the sofa set or the draperies or the curtains or the industrial products following the maintenance instructions. So the furnishings used in businesses and office buildings, how is it to be maintained? That has to be, that method should be included in the maintenance spec. Carpeting or upholstery, upholstery, which is, the upholstery that we have in the automobiles. You have to give the instructions for maintenance, how to maintain it. And one of the very important specification is the disposal spec. After you have used something, how should you dispose it? So there are tube lights. After you have used it, it has fused. Now you can't use it. But how do you dispose it? Let's say Gillette blades, which men use. So after you have used the razor, you have shaved and multiple times, and now you cannot use that blade. What do you do with the blade? How do you throw it? You cannot just throw it like that. There could be a cow, who is feeding from the garbage. The cow may, the mouth, it may cut its mouth or its lips or its tongue and things like that because you have thrown a blade inside that. So, disposal spec is related to the disposal of the packing material as well as when the product has been used. So, it relates to the disposal of packing material, also used for products which can be recycled. So, for plastics, you will see that a triple arrow symbol in a triangular form is given, and it says that it is a class 2 or a class 3 kind of polythene, and it can be sent for recycling. So if there are carpets made of recyclable material, that has to be mentioned so that when someone has used the carpet and now the carpet has become very old, then the person will send the carpet for recycling and not just throw it away. Then we have the procurement spec. Procurement means sourcing or buying of. So how do we buy? Now procurement spec helps the retailers recognize critical aspects of vendor evaluation. So how do you buy? You want to buy t-shirts. There are 50 vendors. How do you evaluate the vendor? How do you shortlist the vendors? And then finally, how do you decide on which vendor or vendors to give the order? The method of how to evaluate and shortlist and screen and then finalize 1 or 2 or 3 vendors, how do you do that is part of your procurement specification. It helps the companies to meet the delivery date, to get the required quantity and to get the required quality. Now, specifications, they describe the characteristics and or performance of the product or the service. Specifications are more specific than standards, but they reflect the standard. Now, standard can be, let's say for Reebok, all t-shirts should be machine washable. That's a standard. Specification is washing specification. Whether the t-shirt can be hand washed or it should be washed in cold water or don't wash or only dry clean. Now these are washing specifications. So standard is whatever t-shirts we make, all these machines should be machine washable. That is a standard. But if there is a delicate t-shirt, there is a black t-shirt, there is a white t-shirt, there is a red t-shirt. So dark color t-shirt, they should be washed in cold water. Delicate t-shirts, they should be washed with hand. There are some t-shirts, they shouldn't be washed. I mean, they have so much of adornment, so much of embellishment and things like that. They have to be worn only on special occasions and they cannot be washed. They should not be washed. They should only be dry cleaned. So that is the washing specification. So that is the difference between standard and specification. And yeah, just because you are very particular about quality does not mean you make impractical, impossible specification. So specification should be practical for internal operations, for the vendors also, as well as the target group. Meaning to say, if you are ordering such a garment which cannot be stitched, then who's going to make it for you? And if you are making such a garment which cannot be washed, which has to be dry cleaned using only a heavy duty industrial dry cleaning machine, which is not available in all cities of India, then how will the customer get it dry cleaned? So specification should be practical for your for internal operation, as in when you are specifying, your own company should be able to handle that specification. Your vendor should be able to, make the product as per that specification, and your customer should not find or should not be able to should not find difficulty in handling the product because the specifications are so strict, so tight, so impractical. So if you say don't wash, then how many times would a customer be able to wear it? Only dry clean. It means you are increasing the expense of the customer. And if you say don't wear, then who's going to buy the product? If you say don't wear it because it is so delicate. So specification should be strict enough in order to control the quality and everything, but not so strict. And yeah, specifications are used to negotiate bids and contracts. So whenever there are tenders or there is bidding happening, specifications are clearly mentioned so that vendors, even before they have made the product, they can read the specification and they can calculate how much money would be required to make the product. And accordingly, they can quote the prices and then they can participate in the negotiation bid and they can participate in the tenders, government tenders or private tenders. And specifications are also used in the advertisements. When Hanes underwear company, when they say that our underwears are made from Egyptian cotton or Supima cotton, you are actually uh, using the specification to highlight and show the the uniqueness of your product or what is special about your product. So specifications are used. Double mercerized 120s, cotton Egyptian yarn. Raymond would, use such kind of things in their advertisements. And the best part about specification is if you specify rightly, there will be least amount of rejection. Waste are going to be less. Labor cost is going to be less because you don't have to do it again and again because you are very specific. You have clearly mentioned how a product has to be made. The do's and don'ts have been clearly specified. And the lead time will also be less because you will not waste time anywhere because everything has been specified clearly, which is clearly understood by the vendors. And because you know the customer, you know the requirements, and accordingly you are going to build the specifications. And because you are consciously building those specifications, you are able to increase the customer satisfaction because of by using the specifications correctly. Now, let's say you want to set up a factory or you are new to the industry. So in that case, where would you find the information for specification and standards? So there are textbooks and reference books from where you get the details. ASTM is the source of information for material performance. You can go to their website and find most of the details. Now there are dictionaries and encyclopedias like Fairchild Dictionary of Textiles, Fairchild Dictionary of Fashion, Hext Celanese Dictionary of Fiber and Textile Terminology, Textile Institute's Textile Terms and Definitions, Grayson's Encyclopedia of Textiles, Fibers and Non-Woven Fabrics. These are just some of those reputed names. You would find hundreds of them on the internet. Of course, the other sources of information, the sample fabrics. You buy sample of fabric samples. So whenever you buy, you can ask the person who's selling those fabrics. You can ask them to give you the specification. You buy a fabric, you want to ask them that please write down what is the count in construction, what is the fiber, it is 100% cotton or polyester, whatever. So wherever you buy the fabric from, they will give you the details. Or even if someone is sending you the sample products, then they will also give you the details. If you are producing that sample, then you must ensure that the merchandiser or the designer who has got the product developed, who has got the sample made, they should include all the details on the tag, on the sample tag. Of course, experience of individual, people working in the trade for 30, 40, 50 years, they are the biggest sources, valid sources for specification and standard. Who can educate us better than the people who have been doing it for more than 30, 40, 50 years? And then, of course, the vendors, people who are selling fabrics, people who are selling zippers, people who are selling stitching thread. Who can give you the information better than them? The ones who are actually producing the product. And then, of course, the target markets or the customers' feedback, the people who are actually using the product. They will tell you that, the t-shirts that I buy from Wrangler, they are very long. They should be a little shorter. Every time I buy my size, if the length is correct, the width is more. Or if the width is correct, the length is short. So what should be the specification or what should be the standard will come from the customer's feedback. Now, standards and specification, we have elaborated, we have talked about it so much. It's like, we are saying that without standard and specification, we cannot exist in the market. But then, along with the virtues of standards and specification, there are also some potential problem areas. Specifications can be the source of many problems due to words, ideas in presentation. There are different words which are used for the same thing. Or one word can mean different things. So when you are writing it down, when you are using the words, or when you are representing the ideas, or when you are presenting things, different people may get different ideas. Different people can have different understanding. That can lead to problems. So we really have to be very, very careful that when we are specifying, the text should be unambiguous. It shouldn't mean different things. Words, they create problems. Now, when you say bursting strength or the tearing strength, a lot of people who are not experts of this area, for them, bursting strength or the tearing strength might mean the same, although both of them are absolutely different. Bursting strength is mostly used for knitted garments, knitted fabric. Tearing strength is mostly used for woven garments. And tearing strength is when you are actually tearing it. Bursting strength is when you are pushing a ball through and through the fabric and the fabric ruptures. That is bursting strength. But someone who is only using the knowledge of English, for them bursting strength or tearing strength would mean the same thing. Ideas create problems with specification when terms are repeated in the document with slight different usages. Now, this is something which often happens. One time you have used the term good for something, and within that same booklet, within the same text, in another paragraph, you are using the term good signifying something else. In this case, a reader will get confused, because at one place good means something and another place good means something else. So the slight different usage of the same word in the same document creates problem. So the author should strictly avoid such kind of incidents. Now, multiple authors can contribute to problem in the presentation of ideas. Now, too many cooks spoil the broth. So if there are multiple authors, each of them have their own way of explaining. Now, this can also lead to problems in the presentation of ideas. One person has presented the idea, then another person is presenting the same idea in a different manner. And when one vendor listens to the presentation by multiple authors, the vendor is bound to get confused. That is again a potential problem area. Now, finally, let's see the effects of standard and specification on cost. Because at the end of the day, you want to specify, you want great standards, you are being very specific, very meticulous, very particular. But at the end of the day, if you are very particular, you are the one who has to pay the cost also. So if you are very particular, no one will want to produce for you. If at all anyone is ready to produce for you, they will charge a huge price. So you'll have to strike a balance between the standard specification and the cost, because you also have to produce the garment, or you also have to source the garment at practical prices, so that you are able to sell it at a good margin to the customers. So higher standard automatically means higher cost, and vice versa. So if you want high standards, you will have to pay more. Or if you are getting paid more, then you have to give great standards also. And if you are very, very tight about specification, if you are being very specific, again you will have to pay high cost. Or if someone is giving you high price, then they are going to be very, very strict on the specifications. So with that, we come to the end of this session. Thank you.